right, good to see everybody again. We'll get started here in just a moment. First, we'll do our nightly audio check as well as visual check. So if you guys can hear us and if we are streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and give a thumbs up in the chat. Also, if you refresh your web browser, you should be able to rewind. I just enabled the DVR. So thank you all for joining us. It's a Wednesday night in Manhattan, beautiful weather. And we'll get started here momentarily. Thank you. Go ahead and get started here. So good evening everybody and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. We're currently reporting live directly outside of the GM building. Sitting across the street is the Plaza Hotel, and just off to our left is the flagship Apple Store on 5th Avenue. Now we're going to be talking about a lot of things tonight. However, first, I just want to say that we're probably going to be headed to the east side. We'll explore the Upper East Side of Manhattan a little bit tonight. I want to take a look at that brand new East River Park again. I think there'll be a lot more foot traffic there as the weather is nice. And then we'll probably end the live stream around 34th Street, Penn Station, and Madison Square Garden. I believe at 8:30 tonight, so about 30 minutes ago, the Knicks game started, I believe, maybe 8:30. They play the Pacers. This is game 2, so hopefully, fingers crossed, the Knicks will win, because if they do, it's going to be pretty crazy. It's going to be pretty cool outside of Madison Square Garden. Now, last night was the Rangers game. We were able to see a little bit of that getting out, and then on Monday, we were able to see the Knicks game get out when they won. Hopefully they'll win again, so it'll be some interesting times there. Now we'll get right into the markets. Today was a very interesting day on Wall Street, but some very encouraging action, which I'd like to bring up here. Now if you turn over to a daily chart of the S&P 500, pull up your Bloomberg terminal, Market Smith, or Trading View, really whatever you want to look at, we actually gapped down on the open. We gapped down to 5,167, but then we rallied all the way and closed at the dead high of the day at 5,187. Now, if you were just to look at, just the headline number today, you would say that the market closed down fractionally. But there was actually some very positive action, and this is kind of what we want to see as we're emerging out of a correction. You really do want to see the market gap down throughout the day. And rally and close at the high of the day. So even though technically we closed lower than yesterday, it was very positive action because we rallied from the low of the day, closing pretty much at the top tick of the high. So again, S&P 500 closing 5,187. My internet's not working too well, but we should be back or just right at the 50-day moving average. So we'll go ahead and get started here momentarily. Thank you all for joining us. Last but not least, tomorrow at right around probably 7:30 p.m. Go ahead and check your emails. We're going to be sending out the Behind the Street newsletter, which is our bi-weekly investing research piece. If you're not subscribed to our Substack, you can just type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. Again, check your email tomorrow around 7:30. That is when we are going to be sending it out. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop, say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. Thank you all for joining. Let's see what we got. Cool. Beautiful day in the city, finally. It was about, I'd say 80 degrees. It was probably the high. We had a miniature rainstorm in the morning though. It was like torrential downpour in the city, but quite beautiful. So Danny going, what's going on? Good to see you, Solo 401. To see Roy, Anna, this is early stream. Yeah, we're surprisingly on time tonight, which is strange for us. Photos from around New York, good to see you. Gary Carpenter, Troy Atman, Alan, Arctic Paratrooper, Walter, Lynn, Mary, Diana, Peter. Good to see everybody. This is the GM building. Now, this is the building that we were talking about. So this one with the foreclosure auction sign on it. It's 5 East 59th Street. We point this out from time to time. We do have a lot of new viewers here, but there's a lot of history in this building right here. This little boxy type building just off of 5th Avenue. This used to be the New York City's Playboy Club. Not a lot of people know that. But if you search on Google 5 East 59th Street, you could see some old photos from way back in the day. And right next to the Sherry Netherland Hotel, that was the old Playboy Club. Now, there was about $85 million worth of bad debt on the property. It's being delivered vacant. And on the ground floor, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So here's the building, right? This is some interesting New York City commercial real estate updates for you all. I know we've talked about the building before, but there's a lot of new viewers, and I've been getting some emails about it. So this whole building is being delivered vacant. It's sold at auction, I believe, for $27 million. There's 2 retail units on the bottom, and then there's 8 individual office units at the top. Now, I believe it was also sold with air rights, so they could build, I'm not too sure the exact footage they could build up, but it's just enough room for probably to put 2 or 3 additional condo units on the top, and you could build a digital signage facade. Now, there's a notable jeweler from Miami who acquired the building, and he's gonna make it kind of his New York City headquarters. But this is the building that we were trying to acquire. So we went and we were gonna try to buy this building, and essentially we were going to partner with a firm or like a luxury, I can't really disclose too much, but it was going to be like branded condos. We were going to make it on the top, which would have been a great project. I think you know, I mean, you couldn't get a better location than that, right? And that's a pretty good deal. And I believe you're going to start to see a lot of those kind of foreclosure auctions happen, particularly in these older, you know, office buildings that are completely vacant. But think about that for a moment, right? The market assigned its value at one point in time at about $85 million. So if you can acquire that for $27 million, you know, put some work into it, either, you know, rehab, refurbish the property and then get tenants in there, or you could do a condo conversion. There's a lot of money to be made there. So, and the positive thing is, you know, it's not all doom and gloom, right? Whenever you hear foreclosure auction, it's not, you know, the best news. But over time, I believe as a result, the city is going to get a lot of new product on the market in terms of residential. And that's kind of what we need, right? I'm sure all of you are aware, and it's not just New York City, I'm not just picking on New York, but there's an affordability crisis really in the United States. Now, some markets are better than others, but I would say 100% we'd all agree, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, this is a really nice Tesla taxi here. There is a really, really bad affordability crisis in the city, and the only way that you're going to solve that is by building new residential condos, apartments. So, interesting stuff. There's a few other deals that we'll probably be talking about over the next 6 months. Not as good as that one, but some interesting locations that I think will look quite familiar to you. One more shot looking back all the way down to Columbus Circle, and then let's head to Sutton Place, because tonight I just have a feeling it's going to be pretty busy over there, and then we're going to double back all the way to Madison Square Garden. Fingers crossed the Knicks win, and then we'll be able to see some cool stuff. Oh, wise owl, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. This is now Madison Avenue. You're looking all the way down to the one and only One Vanderbilt. But also, check this out. Beautiful shot of 432 Park Avenue. Yeah, Jean Paul says all major cities have an affordability crisis for sure. Now, speaking of Jean Paul, right? Talk about Miami. Miami used to be quite affordable. Not so much anymore, unfortunately. And I'm probably preaching to the choir here, because we do have a lot of native Miamians that have seen prices explode down there. Not only in terms of the cost to acquire the property, but also the cost of maintenance too. So maintenance costs have really exploded, and you have insurance costs totally blown out. Not just homeowners insurance, that includes auto insurance too, particularly in the state of Florida, but specifically South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach. Things are getting pretty expensive. So to your point, it's not just one city. You're kind of seeing it all over the country too. Hey, Blue says, hey Tom, I'm in Austin and just sold my house. Ah, very nice. While the market is definitely cooling, I was still able to sell just after 3 days on the market. Wow. Blue Angel. That's an interesting data point. I'm glad that you shared that with us, because you know, Austin is one of those markets. Sorry, I should have brought a bottle of water. You know, but Austin was one of those markets that really took off like crazy during and just after the pandemic, right? A lot of job growth in that city. I mean, Austin's a great city. I don't know if I could ever live there, but really, really great town. I love Austin, Texas. But to your point, here, you know, the market has been really cooling in Austin in a major way, but in a very positive way. Because if you look at building permits, and if you look at what cities need to do in order to make it affordable to live, is that governments need to work very, very closely with developers and builders to approve more building. And there has been a lot of condos and apartments going up in and around Austin, and basic supply and demand here. The more product that comes on the market, it satiates that demand, and it kind of cools off pricing because there's more supply. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, your house was probably priced really well for it to sell out just a few days on the market, but definitely congrats to you. That's awesome. I think long term, I'm still bullish on those cities that kind of exploded during the pandemic. Austin, Texas, Miami, Florida, and a few others. Like Denver, Colorado too was another, I would say, major city that really, really took off from the pandemic. So, hey, New England Crypto, what's going on? Lockjaws is absolutely, I live here in Fort Lauderdale. You're absolutely right. Now, Fort Lauderdale floods a lot, so that's actually one of the reasons when I was looking to move down there, looking to buy a property in Florida, I was looking very closely at Fort Lauderdale. I opted not to go there just because of the flood risk. But yeah, someone says supply and demand. Let's see who said that. Hanks, just supply and demand. Nobody has given up the 3% mortgage rates for 7%. That's another good reason, which has really kind of constrained supply. I think the Federal Reserve overdid it over the last decade. I think that's probably an understatement. See how nice these stores are here all along Madison Avenue. But I think you're 100% right, because look at the federal funds rate, right? If you just go to the St. Louis Fed website, and you could look at a historical, essentially a chart of history of the Fed funds rate. To get us out of the financial crisis, the Fed really had to manipulate interest rates. And we were in over a decade of TINA. You know, there is no alternative, which was essentially like, hey, now that interest rates are so low, you know, just get long equities, and, you know, there's no alternative to equities. But what that also created is a huge housing boom in America, because money was so inexpensive. Money was essentially free. So you have, I think this statistic is really mind-boggling. It's about 80% of people that have a mortgage outstanding right now have an interest rate at or below 4%, which is really crazy, right? Because if you're evaluating a deal now to say, okay, my budget is $500,000, I want to get into a condo, I want to get into a home, and you were modeling that deal when rates were 3%, well now interest rates are 7.5%. So that totally throws the deal out of whack. And there's not a lot of supply on the market, because everybody who bought that has those low rates, they're like, do I really need to sell? Not really. And I don't want to give up my incredibly low interest rate, because it's essentially free money. I don't need to move. And if I do sell at a profit, I'm just going to have to go right back into the market, where it's still pretty competitive in most markets. And if I can't buy cash, I have to essentially spend 8% for the money, which not a lot of people are going to do. LEB says, hey Tom and team from Miami Beach. What is going on? I'll be in Miami Beach pretty soon. Wow, trade brigades. My current lender is begging me to refinance. Haven't done the analysis on if the cash would be more productive elsewhere, but 2.9% on my current. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, some people sub 3% interest rates, which is wild. This is a great shot, 432 Park. All right, let's cross to the south side of 57th Street, Billionaires Row, and then we will bang a left. And let's go check out Sutton Place before the Knicks get out. Hanksters is 2.875% here. I want to move out of state and retire. 7% is crazy. Fortunately, I'll only need a $200,000 mortgage, plus or minus. That's not bad. And you know, I was reading this interesting article on the Wall Street Journal the other day, and essentially, and it was an opinion piece, so take that with what you may, but I kind of like reading the opinion section. And essentially they've said that builders over the last 10 years have just been building houses and apartments that are just too big. And I think there could be a case for that. And I'll give you an example. So for me, I'm used to living in like a shoebox, right? Being from New York. I mean, studio apartments here could be less than 500 square feet sometimes. And I've kind of been like acclimated to that. So when I bought my place in Miami, you know, just over, I think it's 1,600 livable square footage. It's like 1,700 square foot total, but livable, it's less than that. It's probably like 1,600 square feet of livable space. Anyway, that's a crazy amount of space for me. I find myself when I'm at my place, right, assuming I'm not renting it out, I probably only utilize about a quarter of the square footage. So what a lot of people are starting to realize is, what do I actually need versus wants? If you look at some of these houses in Texas, they're like these McMansions that are 6,000 square feet, 7,000 square feet, I feel as if the vast majority of Americans don't really even utilize this square footage. So I'll cut right to the chase. Essentially what the article was saying is, if builders can fundamentally redirect and change their plans to say, all right, if we can build 2 times the amount of homes, but each home is going to be 30% less square footage, well, then we can get more people housing that they need at a realistic price. Now, I guess I'll ask the audience, do you think that's BS, what I just said, or is there some truth to that? Do you think that the vast majority of Americans have too much space, or the average home in America in terms of the square foot blueprint? Does the average American utilize all that space? In my personal opinion, from my experience with my place, I don't. That's why I rent most of it out. I rent the individual rooms. Gary says, Tom, no single human really needs more than 1,000 square feet, maybe 800. Roy says, I have not enough space. Well, San Francisco, I mean, what are the average size of like a 1-bedroom apartment there? All right, let's make this, we'll go down to the Seagram building. John says, I agree. Sharon says, I can see that. I mean, assuming, let's say, particularly also, let's say you're married with like 2 or 3 kids, right? Once your kids turn 17, they're gonna be out of the house in college. So many people only really need that space for about 17, 16 years. Blue Angel says, yes, live in a 3,000 square feet with a family of 4 and we don't use it all. Now, 3,000 square feet to me is huge, humongous. I have some listings on the market of full floor apartments, 2-bed, 2-bath, that's 1,500 square feet, and those seem really big. So I can only imagine, and again, you're talking to somebody from New York City, but 3,000 square feet must feel huge. I mean, 3,000 square feet in New York City is massive, massive space. Peter's family need more space than a single person. 2 kids making a 4-person family need at least 2,800 square feet. New England Crypto says, I live on 4 acres, but our house is small. Only 2-bedroom, and we're about to have our 3rd kid. Oh, and we are out of room. Well, congratulations on the kid, by the way. It's awesome. Wish you all the best. Hankster says, everybody wants a McMansion. So hard to find a 1,200 to 1,400 square foot home. So it seems as if there is definitely a market for it. But I think it may be a good point. If builders can essentially adjust to the trend, and whether we like it or not, okay, not to get, I don't think this will spark a political debate, but all of the data is trending towards millennials and Gen Z having less kids. That's not a good thing in my eyes. It's actually a very negative data point, in my opinion. Look, everybody can do what they want, but I think that's negative for society. So if that being true, if the average American family is going to be smaller, statistically speaking, maybe we don't need all this square footage. All right, right here is my favorite office building in the entire city. This is the Seagram building. It's 375 Park Avenue. It's a stunner, an absolute beauty. The reason why I like it so much is because it's built very far away from the street. You kind of have like an outdoor patio space with these 2 big fountains there. It's quite nice. Hey Abdullah, what's up? Oh, F says part of the builder's dilemma is when will the baby boomers sell? It's a good point. Probably not anytime soon, from basically what we discussed. Everybody has a lot of cheap debt outstanding at fixed rates. Additionally, I truly believe that 2008, what happened there with the, subprime lending, adjustable rates, a lot of people have post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD from the financial crisis, and a lot of people learn their lesson. A lot of people learn their lesson not to over leverage, right? Not to take on adjustable rate debt and take on fixed rate. So there's a lot of people out there right now with 30-year mortgages, not on adjustable rates, right, or ARMs. They're on fixed rates, sub 5%. And people just aren't moving. They can afford their payment. They'll stay as long as they need. And the only thing that would really force them to sell is there just needs to be a big catalyst. And so far, unemployment is still as low as it's ever been pretty much in American history, or quite near there. So long as you don't have a major catalyst event that would force people to sell their homes, people generally are well capitalized. Hey, Jonathan France, what's up? It's Tom missing the old skateboard days. So am I. I am too. What do you guys think of the Seagram building? Look at that. NBA Elias is when the banking crisis in 2023 started. Everyone referenced 2008 financial crisis. Definitely PTSD. And also, all right, let's start to head towards Sutton Place on the east side. But you'll also notice any time, right, the S&P 500 falls into a correction, or really any day that the market overall is down like 1.5%, everybody automatically just defaults to, this is it, this is the big one, the market's going to go down 60%. I told you so. It's like the financial crisis caused so many people so much pain that it's like scarred them forever, that they think anytime the market goes down, it has to go down 60%, which is not what the data shows at all. The data shows that, oh, what is this? Look at this old taxi. This is cool. It appears to be an event for the food bank in New York. This is like an original taxi from what, the 1970s maybe? It's pretty cool looking. Cool looking cab. I feel as if a lot of the design of the vehicles back in the day are way better than the design of kind of the stuff that they have now. Every vehicle now is mass produced and they kind of look the same. But back in the day, I mean, everything just had its own flair to it. In any event, I think that's important to recognize too, that just because the market goes down doesn't mean it needs to go down 60%, 70%, right? Historically, that tends to happen every 50 plus years. But in a cyclical bull, right, you have corrections of 10, 15%, 3 or 4 times. And that's healthy and normal for markets to resume an uptrend. Right, you have a little bit of irrational exuberance, then the market kind of cools down, you have some profit taking, the market finds the floor, it bases out for 1 or 2 months, and then it resumes its uptrend. Yeah, I know. NBA Alliance is amazing technology. Difference compared to the Tesla taxi today. Jeff says the S&P hasn't corrected in 7 years. Where have you been, man? Respectfully, but S&P hasn't corrected in 7 years, dude. We're just emerging out of one of the worst bear markets since 2008. And I wrote an article about this in the Behind the Street newsletter. If you really want to get technical in terms of the amount or the breadth of stocks that, you know, crashed below its 200-day moving average, the 2021 bear, right? 2021 to 2022 bear market, there was a greater number of overall stocks, not only below its 200-day, but corrected over 40%. So once the Fed started to tighten, right, at the tail end of 2021 and into 2022, there was a bloodbath massacre of growth stocks on Wall Street. Many of them, right, many notable names are still down to this day, 90% plus, still. So there was a major correction, and we're technically in one right now. You know, we're in a mini correction now, but during COVID, I think we have to go up 2 more because there's no service down there. But even right now, you know, the S&P 500 is in a correction. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to go down 30-40%, but it corrected 6%, and some of the individual stocks that are the higher beta stocks, you know, they'll pull back 15%, which is normal. But when the S&P handled, right, this is kind of how I like to think about it. And if you pull up your chart, if you have your Bloomberg terminal or TradingView or, you know, MarketSmith or whatever, the S&P rallied, right, kind of building out its base from this, you know, multi-year bear market, and we pulled back into October. And since October, you know, up until, you know, 4 weeks ago when we had this correction, we've been pretty much up in a straight line since October of 2023 till now. So there's been, you know, severe damage, which is why I kind of think that this is actually the early innings of a cyclical bull market. So if you look when the NASDAQ, right, if you just look at the NASDAQ 100, or you could look at the NASDAQ composite, look when that topped from peak to trough, and then go down into individual single stock view, right? And you'll really notice the difference in beta. So these high beta growth stocks, right? If the NASDAQ 100 pulled back over 30%, the individual stocks, some of them were blasted 90%. So that's why it's very important if you're having a portfolio of individual stocks, right? Many people will say, oh, I'm very diversified. I own Apple, I own Microsoft, I own Amazon, and, you know, I own, I don't know, Palo Alto Networks, just naming just those 4 companies. They're all in the same sector, so they all have the same beta. So that's not being diversified, right? Also, many people are like, oh, I'm super diversified. I own ExxonMobil, I own Chevron, and I own, you know, Occidental Petroleum and DuPont Energy. Well, again, all of those stocks are going to move together, right? Generally speaking, if Oxy is going to be up 1% on the day, you know, Chevron is probably going to be up around that, right? Because they're all in the same sector. They have the same beta as it relates to the S&P. So that's why, and a good example is on a day like today. If you look at the S&P 500, how it traded today, we actually gapped down. But if you just look at, you know, your stocks app on your iPhone, you'd be like, you know, the S&P was down today. However, it was a very positive day on Wall Street because we gapped down and we rallied and we close top tick at the high of the day. That's really good action that you want to see as you're kind of emerging out of that correction. So it's an interesting way to think about it, but I think it's the necessary way to think about it. This pizza spot here is actually pretty good. Right on the corner of East 56th Street.
That is also one of the things.
This is actually a really good spot. You can get 2 regular slices and a fountain drink for $7.75. I think this is probably the only place in the city now you can get lunch for under $10. It's actually pretty good pizza. Right here on 3rd Avenue and East 56th Street. Hey, what's up, Cosmo? Good to see you. I see Roy is here from San Francisco, California. Yeah, Brad's Brains is deadhead alert. Maybe he owns the Cybertruck. The short guy says end your stream at the Knicks game tonight. That's definitely the plan. I mean, fingers crossed that they win. Now, the only thing, the short guy, that's the problem with that, 10 times out of 10, the network gets overwhelmed and the stream crashes. But we'll try our best. I'm not a big basketball guy, but for the sake of the city, I really hope the Knicks win. Rangers won last night. Yeah, Doug Thompson's is still forgot some places you can get $1 slice. Well, a lot of those dollar slice places are now $1.50 with inflation. The best dollar pizza place is right outside of Grand Central Station. That's now $1.50 slice too, unfortunately. See, that's that's unfortunate because, I mean, for those New Yorkers and even non-New Yorkers, right? Every time you come to the city, if you're like really on a budget, you know, you go to $1 slice place. Pretty much all those places are $1.50 now. I don't know of one that's still $1. All right, let's head a little bit further east. And this is going to take us back into the Sutton Place neighborhood. Damn, the short guy says it was 25 cents a slice when I was a kid. Definitely jealous. I know, trade brigades is 50% inflation. So much for PCE at 7%. Yeah, us New Yorkers are going through some tough times. You know, pizza inflation. Cosmos has just tried Hamburger America, great burger. How much was it? Cosmo, did you spend under or over $25? Under over 25. Now, speaking of inflation, we're gonna get more inflation data next week when we get the CPI numbers. What's up, JC? Welcome. Ibrahim Azam, thanks for joining us. Troy Atman, it's time to get skinny and skip meals. I think the most crazy interview, and we've talked about this multiple times. I think this was with Kellogg's, I think, or General Mills, I forget. But the CEO sounded so tone deaf on CNBC. He was like, all the data is showing that more people are having cereal for dinner. This is fantastic. And the anchor on CNBC, I think it was Carl Quintanilla. I always mispronounce his name. He was like, are we sure that that's a positive thing, that more people are eating cereal for dinner? Like, it may be great for your company, but I don't know if that's so great, that stat. He's like, you know what? More people are choosing our products for dinner. Cereal for dinner? I don't know. Should we really be proud of that? I don't think so. Anyway. I kind of like this lobby, Excelsior. Cosmos says, what was my dinner? I didn't even get a chance to eat dinner tonight. I was so busy. Probably eat later. So this is the on-ramp to the 59th Street Bridge, or the Queensboro Bridge, however you want to call it. Now, has anybody else seen, and I haven't really been paying attention to it, some of you have been direct messaging me on X or on Twitter about this. In some states that they're pulling Gatorade off the shelves because there's just too much sugar, or there's these crazy dyes in there. Is that true or is that fake news? I'm going to assume it's true because, and we've had this conversation before, if anybody here, you know, has traveled international, has friends that are international, at least a lot of my friends who are from overseas, every time they come to America, they claim that they're like, there has to be something in your food. We eat the same amount, right, in terms of portions, but they gain weight when they're in the US. It's probably because of all the additives and the dyes and preservatives, you know, the way that big food, the conglomerate, preserves the food and maybe has it down to a science to make us addicted to the food. I know that's a big claim, but a lot of my Korean friends, Italian friends tell me that. All right, First Avenue. We're about to enter Sutton Place. You can see all the cars merging on the 59th Street Bridge right here. All right, we got the light. We can cross. Now, this may be a hot take, but we are in Sutton Place. So Sutton Place calls for hot takes. So here's my newest and latest prediction. You guys want to hear it? Here it is. So we know that the vaping is horrible for you, right? It causes like popcorn lung and all that. It's gotten to the point where they've actually banned some of the vaping cartridges. I have a new prediction. Is anybody familiar with the latest trend among you know, college kids, and even not college kids. I see it walking up and down Park Avenue. Almost every single millennial has a little pack. It almost kind of looks like chewing tobacco, but it's not. There's no tobacco in it. It's just like nicotine, I believe. It's called Zin or Zins. Who here in the chat has heard of that? Now again, this isn't based on any factual data, just a gut feeling. In 5 years, we're going to see articles and articles and studies about how those were terrible for us and caused cancer. That's my prediction. Yeah, ZYN, I think that's the brand. Now again, allegedly, I have no data. It's just, those can't be good for you. And people are overindulging in them. If you walk up and down 6th Avenue, Park Avenue, lunchtime on a weekday, every other guy has a little pack of those in his hand. I don't know. Doesn't seem too convincing to me that those are healthy for us. Again, not trying to throw judgment. People can do what they want. But I see some similarities to the vaping epidemic. Troy Atman says, does it rot your teeth? I have no evidence, no conclusive evidence that it does anything. I'm just making a prediction, just based on a gut intuition. Because I remember being in college, right, very, you know, college aged, and everybody was obsessed with these little vape pens, these sticks. And there was a name brand out there, and all the kids would buy these cartridges, and it would be like banana flavored, you know, pineapple flavored, this and that. And these kids were getting sick from it. And one of my good buddies was like really, really sick from it. And I think it developed this thing called like popcorn lung, where it kind of feels like you have emphysema almost. I think you're gonna see something come out about these Zin cartridges. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but I just got a bad feeling. I just have a bad feeling about it. Again, no medical experience. This is just all just a prediction. So, hey, thank you so much for your very generous $10 donation. Just thank you, Tom, for recommending Mel's. I wound up there last night on a date unexpectedly. She and I loved it and plan on going back. Ah, yeah, you tagged me in it. I was so late, I didn't have enough time to respond, but I'm so glad you got a chance to check it out. Isn't it a cool environment in there? It's like, it's very dimly lit, it's very cool, it's hip. The pizzas are good, the sides are good. Hopefully you had enough room for dessert, because they have a lot of these like really good sundaes, like caramel. It's a really, really cool place. My good buddy, Anthony, is the head chef there. So if you're gonna go back anytime, shoot me an email. I'll make sure they take care of you. But yeah, that makes me happy. I'm glad you had a good time there. That's a really good restaurant for all of those who are out of the loop that don't know what we're talking about. If you are ever in the Chelsea Market area, check out this restaurant called Mel's, M-E-L-S. It's like an upscale pizza spot, but that's the bad way to explain it, because they have so many other things. The sides are great. I always get this giant clam. It's like a baked clam. It's really good. Check it out. It's my buddy's a part owner in the restaurant. So good times, a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you for your donation. Appreciate it. All right, so we're here at the main entrance of the park, I should say. New England Crypto says, I believe with Zin you don't need to spit. I think that's why it's more popular. Anyone know if that's correct? So I don't know if that's correct, but you're probably right. Troy Atman says, Tom, how much caffeine do you consume in one day? I'm probably over 500. I'm not proud of it. Whew, I don't know the exact amount, but I'd probably guess I'm right there. Because I drink cold brew, and I know cold brew has a high content of caffeine, which is probably way too much. So, all right, everybody, here in Sutton Place, we're gonna check out the park yet again. This is the new elevated park we have here. All right, let me catch up on some of the comments. Billy says can't stand vaping.
It's not, but all the stuff
Peter says Zyn is a nicotine pouch originated in Sweden. Nobody shares as my classmates. No, vaping is bad, but my classmates don't care. Now, the problem with the vaping stuff is that high schoolers are doing it. I walk around the city, and when the high school's getting out, I see all these high school kids vaping, which is crazy. But I don't know. We'll see. The reason why I bring it up is because I draw similarities to how just rapidly and how fast vaping caught on. And it swept across a lot of college campuses. It swept across a lot of high schools. And now I think that Zyn stuff is going to be the next thing. Any high school teachers, or let's say even middle school teachers in the chat, are you guys seeing the Zyn stuff amongst high schoolers? All right, here we are on the brand new elevated park. Wow, Brad says, yeah, my high schoolers tell me that everybody vapes. The problem with this stuff is we don't find out that it's terrible for us until like 20 years later. That's the problem. Now, who remembers way back in the day, everybody used to say, smoke the Camel cigarettes because Camel cigarettes are healthy, which obviously is not true, but all right, guys, beautiful views. Look at the spire of the World Trade Center here. Hey, MD, thank you so much for joining us. Connie A says, Tom, those pouches have been around for a long time. I tried them a decade ago when I tried to quit smoking, and yuck. So maybe it's not new. Maybe it's just the brand is marketed differently. So here you see a beautiful view of Long Island City. And further down here, you have downtown Brooklyn and the Williamsburg Bridge. Pretty cool, right? Hey, Christian S says, hey Tom, when I taught in middle school this past year, we had vape detectors in the bathrooms? Vape detector? How would that work? What is a vape? I've never heard of that, a vape detector. Damn. Yeah, definitely a big problem. Now, this all, you may be asking, why are we talking about this? How does this relate to the financial markets? Well, it kind of does. In terms of the overall long-term picture, if you look at the percentage of GDP that's spent on healthcare in the US, it's just up and to the right. And the problem is there's always these new trends, and we don't know that they're unhealthy for us until like 25 years down the line. Or maybe we do know they're unhealthy, but it's just the secret's kept from us. And I think that's why you are seeing medical costs skyrocketing. And the sicker and sicker Americans get, the more, I should say, the higher the percentage of the average person's paycheck, they have to allocate towards healthcare costs. So first we had the big wave of everybody smoking cigarettes, which, by the way, for whatever reason, I'm seeing a trend, particularly amongst college kids, like hipster college kids, smoking again. Like, everybody is on this new trend. I think it makes them look cool, I guess. Who knows? Then we have, the conversation we talked about big food in America. Essentially, the food is poisoning us. And then with these vape things, and now with these Zins, I think it's a big problem. So, I guess just try to eat as clean as possible. Grass-fed steaks, things like that, vegetables. But in America, it's so difficult, it seems, to try to buy things that are nutritious for us, I guess. Guys, look at how beautiful this view is. 59th Street Bridge. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Such a peaceful park. Yeah, Trade Brigades, Whole Food, and Movement, the best medicines, for sure. And I feel, not to make this like a health stream, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have. I feel better when I'm in Miami, and I think it's because I can, work out in the sun, and I could cook food at home. In the city, and I'm sure many New Yorkers could back me up on this, maybe not all of them, but it's very difficult to cook at home in New York City because you're always on the go. It's a hustle culture. But when I'm in Miami and I have a house, I have time to go to Whole Foods, buy a grass-fed steak, cook some vegetables, and actually eat properly. I do still eat pretty clean here, but it's mostly on the go. I'm eating at irregular hours, and you kind of feel a little bit more lethargic in a way. So I 100% believe, just from my experience, when I eat, high quality grass-fed beef, grill steaks, and eat green leafy vegetables, it's pretty simple, right? But you just have so much more energy. All the brain fog goes away. The problem is, chances are, if you live in a big city like New York, it's very difficult to do that all the time. Now, 100% that's an excuse, right? It's just I'm lazy. If I get home really late at night, I don't want to prep and meal prep and all that, so it's just easier to grab something at the bodega, things like that. Yeah, D's yeah, but you also have to pay top dollar too. I guess in some cases. KML, so sorry to say it, but grass-fed steak is usually less flavorful. I feel it's a little bit more gamey, I think. Live 772 says, Tom, eating in New York City boils down to economics. If you got money, you don't have to worry about eating on the go. Maybe. Let's see what else. Tony says the food industry and healthcare industry work hand in hand. Wow. Marketing videography says the Knicks are up 91-31? No way. Hold on, let me see. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a blowout. That's crazy. All right, let's start to we'll head out and around and then down to Madison Square Garden. Billy Johnson says crockpot Tom, lifesaver. For sure. I need to get into a better routine. Sean D says I read that wrong. I probably did read it wrong. 102 to 97. 10-4. Copy that. Nice. Guys, this city, and I've said it before, right? My prediction is that this summer, 2024, in New York City is going to be the craziest and most traveled and touristed summer in New York City's history. Assuming that the New York Knicks go all the way and the Rangers continue to perform well and go all the way, I mean, guys, this is going to be insane. It's going to be exciting. Hey, Ipadilla says, evening, Tom. Love Sutton Place. Thank you for your very generous $5 donation. Appreciate you very much. I love Sutton Place too. It's peaceful here. You know, sometimes you gotta escape the hustle and bustle in New York City, and a beautiful park like this on the east side of Manhattan really helps you do that. This is probably some of the best money that New York City's ever spent, is building more public parks, you know, outdoor spaces where communities can meet and hang out. Hey, David Andrews, thank you so much for your very generous and kind $10 donation. This is usually watch while I'm doing my nightly freelance work, but I'm trying to lose 10 pounds to help doing a 5K in under 20 minutes. That's a pretty good goal. 5K in under 20 minutes, it's a fast time. Now I do an extra hour walk on an under-desk treadmill, watching you walk. Thank you so much. Oh, David, that's awesome, man. Well, all the best in completing your 5K. It's a really good goal. And thank you for watching. Pulling for you. Now, when you achieve that goal, let us know in the chat. It's awesome. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of studies that have been done that you think clearly and you generate better ideas when you're walking, or just any type of mobility, right? So if you're stressed and you're in the office and you're trying to work on a big problem, it's actually probably better not to push through and continue to hammer on the project, but take a 15-minute break, walk around the block, you know, get some fresh air, get some oxygen in your veins, and then go back and try to come back to the problem. So, you know, let's get more people walking, I guess. It's also low impact, very easy to do. It's not like you're running where it's going to be, you know, hard on your knees. Good stuff. Darren says, Tommy, you moving to the Upper East Side? Probably not. It's really not my style, the Upper East Side. I mean, I do love it. Right? I do really like it. I think that Sutton Place is undervalued right now. But when it comes time for me to buy in New York, I have my sights set on Central Park South. I mean, I just love that neighborhood so much. It's unbelievable. Someone says, Tom, what is your opinion on America not being a pedestrian-friendly country other than the major cities? I don't know about that. The thing with the United States, we are a massive country, right? I mean, think about it like that. Like, if you're going to compare the US, let's say, to a place like Korea, Korea is a teeny tiny little nothing compared to US. The United States is such a massive landmass. So, I mean, what are you going to build miles and miles and miles of sidewalk along Route 66? So I don't know. I think, you know, it's as walkable as it can be. I mean, I guess we could always improve, but it's such a huge country. So a lot of the flyover states, I mean, I don't know. I guess also some cities have, you know, too many highways, like poor urban planning, I guess you could argue. They're trying to rework that here in New York, particularly if anybody's been to the South Street Seaport. They're more than likely going to take down the highway, that elevated highway right by South Street Seaport, which is going to make it really nice. Apparently that is the least trafficked part of the highway. Scott says, I think about that subject all the time. I live in San Antonio, Texas, and it's very unwalkable. They designed it to be that way, they say. Interesting. I have never been to San Antonio. But you know what? Thinking about it, I kind of agree. I've been to Austin, Texas, and it's not a city like New York, but I guess geography plays a lot into it. I guess maybe we could use Los Angeles as another example. If anybody here is from LA, is it true you need a car in LA? There's no way you could probably get around the city of Los Angeles without a vehicle. I think that's why I like New York so much, because we can pretty much get anywhere we want by walking or public transportation. Like, I could jump on the subway and go all the way to Brighton Beach. It'll take me an hour, but I could do it. I don't need a car. Look how beautiful it is up here. This is Tom. I live in Florida, and the Bright Line is great. Wish we had it nationwide. I've been hearing a lot of good things about the Bright Line too. Now they've extended it, correct? So you can take it from downtown Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and all the way to Orlando now. That's another debate that we should have as a country. We should have cross-country high-speed rail, like lightning fast bullet trains, kind of like they have in Japan and China. I mean, how cool would that be? I mean, I don't know how much anything like that would cost, but imagine if we had a high-speed bullet train that would go from New York City to LA. Oh man, it's peaceful up here. Nick Jones says, Tom, I live in LA and no one walks. But everybody seems so fit. Like when I picture Los Angeles, right? I picture like the stereotypical beachgoer that's, you know, banging out a million pull-ups. Roosevelt Island looks really good too. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams pretty much every night starting at 8:30. So this is a bird's eye view of where we were just walking. This is all brand new. I mean, I think the city did an amazing job. All this landscaping is brand new. The walkway looks fantastic. this dog. Yeah, this is the 59th Street Bridge. Oh, and look at that. Perfect timing. This is the Roosevelt Island Tramway going over. Maybe next week we'll live stream from this thing. We'll go over. All right, everybody. Let's begin our voyage to Madison Square Garden. So if any of you are visiting New York City this summer, this is a really great place to come that virtually almost nobody knows about yet. Not even a lot of New Yorkers know about it. So here's another bird's eye perspective of where we were walking. I nicknamed this the High Line of the East Side. So if anybody's familiar with the High Line that starts at Hudson Yards and goes all the way down to Chelsea Market, this is the version of the East Side. It's really nice. You can only imagine what it looks like during sunset too. Imagine the views from these condos here. Who Dat Dave? This is it. East River Esplanade. It's a cool place. Knicks is this part of the flood protection plan? I don't think so. They are building a huge elevated seawall right in Red Hook, Brooklyn. And since any other areas in New York like Sutton Place, that's kind of quiet. Riverside, if you want an Upper West Side version of Sutton Place, live along Riverside Drive. This is the main neighborhood. The There's Sutton Place. Oh, cool. Kristen says we were coming to New York City for a short visit in October. Well, that'll be like mid-foliage, which should be good. Look at how beautiful these townhomes are. We just listed a pretty cool townhome in Chelsea just today. It's a multi-family building, which is kind of rare for a townhome because a lot of people have been buying them and converting them into single-family homes. Wow, guys, look at this. Look at how beautiful all that wood paneling is in there. Stunning properties. This entire row of townhouses is fantastic. Hey, what's up, Mary? Dave in Maine. This is good evening. Cape Cod Sour says, where are we again? This is Sutton Place. This is a beautiful neighborhood, very quiet, very quaint. A lot of co-ops in Sutton Place. And this is on 57th Street. And we're officially going to head back into, essentially into Midtown, and go to 34th Street. And we should just make it on time when the Knicks game is getting out. So fingers crossed for the viewers that we'll get a W. Yeah, OGO, they have elevators. A lot of the elevators in these buildings are beautiful. They have these just wood paneling throughout the entire elevator. Some of the new listings we have coming to market, I just have to film the tours of them, property tours. I'll have them uploaded. A lot of interesting product that you haven't seen compared to a lot of the new development. But just notice how quiet it is here. And you're at a 15-minute walking distance from the major business district on Park Avenue. It's quiet. Look at that view of 432 Park. Incredible view. We'll cross to the south side and then make a right. Look at that dog. gonna be good for you guys to see the transition. You'll get to see a lot of neighborhoods in one video. You'll see as we transition from Sutton Place, very low foot traffic, very low through traffic from just vehicles, and by the end of the stream it's going to be the polar opposite. It's going to be literally shoulder to shoulder people and bumper to bumper traffic. It's going to get crazy, so it'll be some good perspective for those non-New Yorkers out there that just think that New York City is, you know, Times Square, which it's not. There's different neighborhoods, different ways of life, all within walking distance of one another, which is cool. So this is 2nd Avenue. The short guy says Knicks are gonna win 90%. Oh my gosh, crazy. So they have to win 4 games, is that correct? It's a 7-game series, best of 7, they gotta win 4.
Dwayne, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later, man.
Oh yeah. New England cryptos is when you're in Miami, Florida. Do I find myself walking faster than everybody? 100%. It's a different world down there. It's just slower. Even when you're ordering food, you know, everybody has a 20-minute conversation with the cashier, even when you're getting coffee, but that's just kind of the lifestyle down there. And maybe that's a better lifestyle. You know, it's probably a lot more healthy to not be strung out all the time. Okay, 2 more avenues, and we're back to Park.
No, that's not. It's gonna.
All of us are so because we can consider
You know, at this rate, yeah, I think it's going to be cutting it close. I don't know if we're going to make it to when the Knicks game gets out. We'll try our best. I'll have to put a little extra pep in our step. It's either we're gonna just make it or we're gonna be like 5 or 10 minutes late. All right, 3rd Avenue here. You can see Bloomberg. .76 degrees, 10:36 p.m. Wow, only 1:36 left in the game. So we'll probably be late. That's all right. Third Avenue.
He actually let me. Another guy.
Knicks by 9. Well, at least that's positive news. And this is New York City's Billionaires Row. Nina, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Hey, Daniel from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Yeah, we'll have to check out the Flatiron building this week. Lexington Avenue. Then we go Park. Pretty much back to where we started. Now we just have to head south. It's getting a little breezy. Now we're back on Park Avenue. Oh wow, Kristen asks is Tom, I've never been to the Latin Cafe in Miami. I'll check it out. I haven't been. Thank you for the recommendation. You can see 270 Park. Let's bang this right. You guys see how different it is here? And now we're right outside of 432 Park. You know, it's usually windier by the water, but it seems the further we walk inland, let's get away from that, the further we walk inland to Manhattan, the windier it is, which is unusual. It's usually the opposite. Oops, it's blocked off for Trump. The Donald is home tonight, so we'll have to make a little bit of a detour by Jeffries Investment Bank, which I think their CEO just sold a ton of stock so he could buy a big mega yacht. So congrats on that. All right, gotta plug in the phone. All right, ready to roll. Race against time. I like Madison Avenue though. It's actually quite nice. There's Rolls-Royce turning here. Probably going to 432 Park, for all we know. Minutes. All right by Fifth Avenue. This is the Mandarin Oriental Residences. Not to be confused with the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. $33 seconds left. I don't know if we're gonna make it. What's the score? 33 seconds left. And we're on Fifth Avenue and what is this? 54th Street. Wow, Knicks are winning by 10. Nice. All right, St. Patrick's Cathedral coming up. If you guys are enjoying the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams pretty much every night, starting at 8:30. Oh, nice, it's over. Wow, this city is going to be crazy this summer. It's awesome. Knicks won Monday, Rangers won Tuesday. The Knicks win again today. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So when we get down to Madison Square Garden, the traffic is probably going to be so ridiculous. And it's going to be very loud. It's going to be cool to see. Now this building with all the American flags is the Tiffany building, or excuse me, Saks Fifth Avenue. That's owned by LVMH. Beautiful looking building. And if you looked at the earnings deck for LVMH, they have this gorgeous picture of the facade of Saks Fifth Avenue on it with the holiday display. It's interesting, there was only one segment of the business that had revenue declines, and that's the wines and spirits business segment. of LVMH. Hey, hang with Mark Mom. What's going on? Thanks for joining us. We're trying to make our way to Madison Square Garden. We were checking out the one and only Sutton Place tonight. And now we're going to check out the festivities due to the Knicks W tonight. See, the Empire State Building is lit up for the Knicks colors. We'll bang it right since we have it.
Revamped, but also living in the city.
These guys went to Adele's. It's the best halal place in the city. I know, the old Wise Owl. I mean, the fans were crazy on Monday night. The stream crashed and I posted a video of the celebrations. I mean, you guys can see it. Crazy. This is usually a good angle to view the Christmas tree. Right next to the Nintendo store.
And
This is right by the News Corporation building. News Corp. Little Italy pizza is actually not bad. It's like a solid 7. Solid 7. You can never go wrong with it, but you shouldn't go out of the way to get it, if that makes sense. If you're in the neighborhood, yeah, you should get it. But you shouldn't go out of your way to get it. I don't know how these people wait on that line for the Adele's. It's such a massive line. But you guys kind of see the transition, right? As we went from Sutton Place, pretty much 0 foot traffic, 0 street traffic, to now, this looks like most cities in the middle of the day. Lots of foot traffic, lots of street traffic, and we haven't even reached 42nd Street yet. This is the Diamond District. 47 50th Street, Rockefeller Center. We're going to pass the Marsh McLennan Building, Bank of America Tower, Bryant Park, Bank of China, and Salesforce Tower. Oh, look at her dog. It didn't even look real, that thing. I don't even know if that was real. Maybe it was just a stuffed animal, but that thing was tiny. All right, West 45th Street, Avenue of the Americas. Right? Didn't that thing look like a stuffed animal? Got a little bit of road rage action there. You know you're in Midtown when you have your classic 11 p.m. road rage. You know what, I will say this. I'm so happy that it's pretty much summer now. I was sick of walking around in the cold. And now if you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, we pretty much do these live streams when it snows, when it rains, pretty much all the elements. But I hate it. I actually don't enjoy doing it when it's freezing, when it's like 20 degrees. So thank God it is 76 degrees out, because man, do I hate walking around in the freezing cold. Just to the right of us is Bank of America Tower. Horrible tragedy, unfortunately, unfolded at Bank of America over the last 2 days or 3 days. There was a former Special Forces Green Beret. I mean, my God, think about the amazing things those guys do for our country. He accepted a job as an associate right here to the right at Bank of America, and he was working on a really big deal. And he was working like 125 hours a week, so stressed out, not sleeping. He was drinking a lot of energy drinks, and he passed away. He had a heart attack and he died. I think he was in his mid-30s. So tragic. He has a wife and 2 little kids, I believe, living in New York City. So there's a GoFundMe link going around on X or on Twitter. So if you have any spare, $5, $10, it's terrible. I think it's a good reminder that at the end of the day, a job is just a job. It's exactly that. It's not worth getting sick over. It's not worth dying over. Especially, my God, if you were a Green Beret deploying overseas, going on crazy missions, to come home and it's just terrible. All right, we're almost there. I think we made pretty good time, honestly. This is West 40th Street. Just a few more blocks to go, and then we're gonna bang a right, and we'll be right at Madison Square Garden. brother. What's up? Good to see you. Long time no see. Trust you're well. Always appreciate your presence here. West 39th Street. This is the Residence Inn Marriott. In my view, this hotel is really, really dated. I think for the price, you can just as easily find something better in the neighborhood that is not so outdated. I mean, that hotel is so old. Randy, are you looking to buy something? Are you looking to rent, or what are you looking to do? You can send me an email, I'll try to help you out. All right, we just got the full force of the red light, so we'll bang a right, and we'll try to cut across the island a little bit more. You're gonna start to see a lot of New York Knicks fans coming out. Smart idea. Guy's a sharp guy. He's like, should we try for an Uber on 6th Avenue? Good plan. Because if you're trying to call an Uber right outside of the Garden, I mean, that's just like a non-starter. Number one, it's going to be like $200. And number two, you're going to be in gridlock traffic. So you might as well walk out of the big congestion zone. Now, anyway, a little bit off topic, but you know what I really want to do? I just have to figure out the logistics of it. I want to run the New York City Marathon, but I want to stream it. Does that make sense? So we'll start the broadcast, right? And I'll just run with you guys, so you can see exactly what it's like to run the race yourself. I think that'd be pretty cool. And maybe what we'll do is we'll turn on the donations. Like if anybody wants to donate money, we'll pick like a charitable cause. So all the donations throughout the stream will go to that. I think it'd be cool. It'd provide an interesting perspective about, you know, what it actually is to run the marathon. And then we'll also do something good, I guess. So it's in the works, but then you got to qualify for the marathon, which I don't know how to do. I think I need to run a bunch of other races, and I don't have time for that, so we'll see. Wow. Well, as a forewarning, we may start to buffer, but you can see all of the Knicks fans coming northbound. Take a little bit of a detour around the cans here. see in the distance a massive sea of cars. But this is good for the city. I mean, I'm really optimistic. If the Knicks continue to go all the way, and the Rangers, I mean, this could be the catalyst that really turns the city around. Sometimes you need that, right? And it may sound crazy, but sometimes you need that one thing that unites the city, and sporting events can really do that. Okay, 35th Street, one more block. We will have officially made it. This guy's caught in the middle now. Alright, let's see if the internet holds up, guys. What do you guys think? We'll start to buffer? Alright, since we have the light, let's cross here. And then we'll try to go out and around. And here we are, Madison Square Garden. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. I'm debating on whether we should go towards the crowd because it's probably just gonna buffer. We'll wait until the crowd thins out a little bit and then we'll try to head in. See all these NYPD officers are probably going to make a left and go crazy with their sirens to try to clear out all the traffic. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Let's see. Because you can see how jammed it's getting. I mean, look at all the cabs trying to get people. You have Ubers. And you're going to have the NYPD just lay on the sirens just to try to move everybody away. Buffering now? We may just have to call it. flight. All right, everybody. You know, I think we'll end it here because if we go in there, it's just gonna buffer. And I also kind of have to head home. But if you guys enjoyed the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new, and we will be back tomorrow. But thank you for joining. Congratulations to all the Knicks fans out there. And we will see you all tomorrow. Take care.